Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. And in this video, I'm going to recap all of the crowdfunding projects that I have been following through the month of June 2021. Talk to you about which ones I'm still debating on whether I should back, which ones I have backed. And so if you're interested in seeing which crowdfunding projects I've been checking out, stay tuned. Well, in June 2021, there were 12 projects that I was following. A couple of them are finished. One of them finishes within about the next 24 hours, and then several of them are still in process, so you could choose to back them if you want. I'm going to go through them kind of in chronological order pretty much in terms of when their projects end. So this first one is called Thera. It's by Zach Hoekstra and L4 Studios Incorporated. It's a role selection resource management game set in ancient Greece. You can see that this one is finished as of June 28. 200 backers pledged a little over $9,000 to bring this project to life. So kind of a smaller project in terms of raising funds. And this one does, though, say down here, you can late pledge it. It isn't ready yet. I think there's going to be a button somewhere in here. It says the link to the right available about 1 week after the end of the Kickstarter, which just ended 2-3 days ago. So that button isn't available yet. But in this game attracted me because I tend to like ones that are set with maps and have some sort of history connection or some sort of geography connection. And so this one drew me in. I watched this Board Games in a Minute overview with Sarah Shaw, and it sounded like the kind of game was interesting. It reminded me a little bit of Forbidden Desert in the sense that on one of your boards it's covered with ash and you're trying to have to remove the ash like you're removing the sand in that Forbidden Desert, but it's not a co-op game like that. And you've got player boards you can see here in this close-up here. There's all kinds of different tokens and there's several different things that were unlocked. So this is the board that would have some ash on it that you're going to have to clear out to gain the victory points as you play. And there's a rondel of actions that you're going to take. So you're going to be choosing from these different possible actions and using that rondel for that action selection. There's going to be buildings that you'll invest in and use to improve your gameplay, and then some luxury buildings. I really just like the art, and the gameplay seemed simple enough that it would be easy to learn and easy to teach. And the previews that I watched were pretty interesting. They definitely pulled me in a little bit. In the end, I did not end up backing this one. And I'll just say this now, and this kind of carries through for all the rest of them that I didn't back, or that I'm leaning away from backing. In July, there are some games that I'm very, very excited about and will almost insta-back, I'm pretty sure, for several of them. So that's holding me back on some of these that I'm kind of on the fence about. And this is definitely one I was on the fence about. You can see the shipping here is $12. And if we look at the options, the planner, the base game is $45. And then if you want to get 3 copies, you can go to the Priestess for $105. So there weren't really a lot of options, but $45 isn't bad, and $12. So you're looking at $57 for this one. But in the end, while I appreciate what they've pulled together here, there wasn't just quite enough to pull me into that $57 backing amount, even though it does look interesting, does look attractive. Just couldn't quite get me over the hump, again, in light also of what I see coming in the future. But I'm glad that it funded, and hopefully in the future, if it comes to retail, or I might be able to pick it up on BGG through the marketplace. It does look like one I'd like to try. Next up is Daimyo Senso. This is a game set in 16th century Japan for 1 to 8 players. And you can see this one did not back. It ended just earlier today, and it did have 82 backers, but fell well short of its goal. This is a game by Nathan Lusk, Warrior with a Pen. And Nathan reached out to me because I had mentioned this in one of my most anticipated crowdfunding games last month. And so he reached out to me and said, you know, it doesn't look like it's going to back, but he has some other people that are interested in backing him outside of Kickstarter on a different kind of relationship. And so he thinks he's going to be able to bring this game to life, and he has lots of other games. So he said, because I mentioned it, if I was interested, he'd send me a prototype. And you can see some pictures here. We've got this big map. We've got the different cards that work with the game to design it. There's a few really interesting things, and I have the prototype here on the table, but one thing that's interesting with these different clans, every clan does the same actions, but in a different order. And it's kind of hard to see here on this picture. Let's see if there's a better close-up. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to see here. So this one's going to be deploy, attack, move, attack. And this is going to be move, attack, deploy, attack. And so they're going to be going through these rounds, which are the vertical columns in this table. And however many players you have, they're all going to be doing those actions in those orders. Now, there's also general cards. So you can see that this group has their reminder on the back of the card. This is what this faction is going to be doing: deploy, move, attack, attack. That's their order. But then they have these general cards that allow them to modify their attack, move, and deploy actions. And it's basically, it involves some area control, and you're going to be setting up your workers, your characters, to try to take over the different sections, and you get regional bonuses for that control of those areas. And it's scaled so that depending on how many people are playing, you use more or less of this board. And it's got some interesting things in the prototype rules about scaling for if you have 2 players, if you're going to play it solo, if you're going to play with 2 players only, which ones should you use? And it gives you a couple of options. So a lot of different variety in this game. One that I'm looking forward to playing, I did just receive, so I'll switch back here to the other camera view. Did just receive the rule book here. It's the prototype version. Pretty short rule book. It's a pretty simple game to learn, actually. And so, but it talks about a lot of other games that Warrior with the Pen already has in their queue of development. So excited to see what else Nathan comes up with. And then here are some of the cards. So you can see for the Oda faction, it just tells you this is the name and where you start, and where you put your troops to start. And then this shows you your sequence. And then these are the general cards here. So we've got well, these are not the general cards. These are the cards that show you which ones you've done. So once you've attacked and then deployed and then attacked and then moved, you'll play those out. And then we've got these general cards that say, okay, when you attack, here's a special action you can take. And then another one for attack, and then another one for move, and then another one for deploy. And you play those once per round. You choose one per round that you could activate to adjust your attack, move, or deploy actions. So unfortunately, again, as I said, it did not end up funding, but keep your eyes and ears out for this. If this does come to life, you can see the game pledge. It was $65 for a copy of the game. If you are inside or outside the US, the price was the same, and then there's retailer pledges. But you're basically trying to become the shogun of Japan through these area control battles. And so if this comes to life and I am able to tell you more about it, I'll definitely put up a video in the future through maybe a board game review playlist or something and talk to you about this. It's one that I'm excited to play the prototype. I've been on the road and just got home last night, so but I've read the rules while I was on the plane, and I'm excited to try this one out and hopefully continue to work with Nathan and like to see this one come to life. Next one up, Six Siege, the board game based on the Rainbow Six Tom Clancy series of books and then video games. And this one you can see has 24 hours to go. We're in the last day. You know, blown away the pledge, well over $1 million raised. This is a tactical skirmish game, and it's by Mythic Games. This is a game that just looks gorgeous. I'm very tempted, but for me, it's like, okay, if I really wanted to make this Kickstarter valuable to me and worth it to me, I'd have to kind of go all in so I have all the extra stuff. And I can't really afford to do that right now. So I would be going just for the base game. And just for the base game, I have a feeling I'll be able to get that cheaper on retail later. So I don't think I'm going to back this one. As interested as I am in it, I've watched probably at least a dozen videos on this game, talking about the game, talking about the gameplay. Skirmish games don't go over real big in my house, so that's another reason I don't think I'll be backing this. I have, a few more hours to decide, but I'm leaning away from it. You can see that there's all these kind of daily unlocks that are coming. You can see the different pledges. I really like this chart here. You can see core pledge has this, all in, premium, all in. This is wonderful. This table here just nicely fits with my visual learning style. So love this, and would love to see a lot of other organizations and sellers working through their projects on Kickstarter to do that. And then it talks about some of the people who reviewed it. Pretty much all the big channels have reviewed it, and they've got gameplays or unboxings or whatever. Looks really great. Like I said, the gameplays all make me think, oh, I would enjoy it, but I think I would have a hard time getting people in my household to play, because that skirmish style game just really, I'm about the only one in my house to do it. I am starting to see things opening up here where we live in California, and hopefully be able to start getting into the friendly local board game store, and maybe be able to find a board game group to join. So it might be something I'd do down the road, but I think for now, given the style of game it is, given the cost of the game, which, while all the contents that are in it I think make it a legitimate cost, a realistic cost, probably be able to get it a bit cheaper later. And then if it's something that doesn't hit the table often, I won't feel so bad about it. So it looks really cool though. I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy this game, and from all the videos I've watched, the gameplay I think is legit. I think people have said that it's you know, a really good one. So there's a ton more to look at here, and I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but you can see they also have these core boxes and things you can buy, piecemeal it together if you don't want to go all in. If you want just certain collections of different player characters, or if you want just certain collections of maps, map packs and stuff like that, you can do that. Just real quick, in the levels here, $69 gets you the core pledge, and then it jumps to $199 if you want all these year 1 through year 5 and map packs, all these different character and map packs. And then you've got the Smooth Operator $269, which comes with all the upgraded special neoprene and all that kind of stuff. So you can go from you know, any level, and then you can kind of piecemeal it. Let's say if you just want the 69, but then you want, oh, I do want this one map pack, or I do want this dice tray, or I do want this dice set. You can kind of piecemeal if you don't want one of those big package deals. But you ran out of time, so check it quick if you're interested. All right, Deliverance. Deliverance is a game of spiritual warfare. This one is a miniatures, feels kind of MOBA style game, I think, but you know, it's one that has done very well. You are playing angels trying to battle demons, and the angels have minis and the demons have these standees. And this one looks really interesting. It's a cooperative tactical adventure board game, and you are these elite angels trying to provide deliverance. You can play it solo to 4 players, 1 to 2 hours playtime. If you get the base box for $59, you're getting these cardboard standees, the darkness board, the different map boards, the cards that represent your angels and their abilities, information about and how to play, the materials to play the solo mode, all these different tokens and cards that help the gameplay. So it's a very involved game. The price is really pretty good, and there's quite a bit in this base game. Now, if you want to go for the deluxe edition, then you're going to get these minis for the angels, and those minis look pretty cool. And they're also going to give you some additional dice and some additional tokens, and then these nice dials for tracking your stats. So, and then also a plastic insert. So for that one was $89. So going from $59 to $89 if you want those kind of deluxeified versions. And then you can go for the all-in at $149, which gets you some metal coins and a neoprene mat, which does look really cool, and then acrylic standees as well. So kind of a neat thing there. And then you can do an angel investor if you want to get all things in and get some professionally painted miniatures, a t-shirt, you know, and really dive in. And then there's also the $14.99 if you want to be an investor, and it talks to you about all the things there. In terms of the add-ons, you can buy the gold and the coins and the acrylic and the t-shirts and the neoprene extra if you'd like. And then we got some stretch goals here, quite a few of which are funded. Like I said, this game is done really well. So lots of things here, extra cards, extra boards, and then some social stretch goals as well. Here's some how to play information from Game Boy Geek. You can download the rule book, play on Tabletop Simulator if you'd like, and then here's some information about the gameplay. I'm going to kind of scroll down here and find the shipping real quick so you can see that. A lot of people here talking about it. And actually, I just heard that it was on Dice Tower channel, and they were giving it like kind of crowd surfing pick of the week. So base game's $9 shipping, which is really good. Deluxe also $9, all in also $9. So that's incredible for shipping, especially these days. And this is Andrew Lowen, the creator. Saw an interview between he and Brandon from AllAboard Gamer. Really incredible interview, really interesting to hear the genesis of this game and all about it. So if you're interested in this one, check it out. The style of game here isn't really one that typically would go over well in my household, so I'm leaning away from it. I'd love to support them, so I'm not sure. Got 6 days to decide. I'm afraid I would get the game on the shelf and then just not play it. So that's what's holding me back. All right, 2 minutes to midnight, also 6 days to go on this one, and you can see it's well funded, almost 30,000 of its just under 6,000 goal. This is a war type game, Fight the Cold War, and in the box you're going to get all these situation cards. It's by Stuart Tongi. And you can see there's a solo bot that you can play either side with different difficulty levels. And again, I'm just a sucker for these games with maps and the geography and the war feel. I think it's having grown up playing Risk. That was kind of my go-to game growing up. And you can see all these different tokens and discs and cubes that help you track the game as it flows. This is one that as I first heard the topic and saw the map, I was like, this sounds really cool. And then as I looked at it and saw it's pretty more of a typical war game from what I'm reading here, and I'm not familiar with that kind of game, I don't know if I would enjoy it. I've been tempted to check it out and maybe jump in with this one. I was even talking with Daniel from Punchboard Party the other day about, hey, should we get a war style game and try to play it together and see if we like those games or not, because neither of us have really tried it, but we're interested. So I'm still kind of keeping my eye on this one. A lot of videos here showing you about the game. If you're interested, you can check out these different people's perspectives on the game, and you can download the rules if you'd like. You can play on Tabletop Simulator. Unfortunately, I'm just not in love with Tabletop Simulator. I find it pretty complicated to use well. Maybe I just need to use it more. Shipping's really good. You've got $12 to the US. So yeah, interesting option here if you're wanting to check it out. $64 for the base game. You can go up to $115 if you want 2 copies of it, and then if you want $162 if you want 3 copies. So basically, just the more copies you want, you've got different packages with a little bit of discount if you order more. So that is 2 minutes to midnight, 6 days to go. Nexum Galaxy, we've got a 4X sci-fi game, explore, expand, exploit, exterminate in this sci-fi setting, and they've done pretty well, tripled their goal, 418 backers, and you get the Beyond expansion as a gift if you invest in the Kickstarter. So a good enticement to invest. I've not played a lot of 4X games. They tend to last a little long for me, but I do like the idea of it. And this is one of those you can play solo as well. And it's interesting that this one is supposed to play in a little bit shorter time than I think some of the big 4X games. If you get the core set, you can see what comes with that, and then the Asteroids expansion. And so that is that level. And then there's different rewards here. They're unlocking as stretch goals. Here is the cost. We got 29 euros for the base game. And it's interesting. It doesn't have a traditional board. It has these system boards, these circular boards, and then these different cards for the different types of player or different characters playing in the game. And then, like I said, the rulebook and advanced guide you can check out there. And then for $45, you can get the Nexium plus Asteroids expansion. And so that's what comes with that set. You can go all in for 75 euros, and that's going to add some extra features. You can get a play mat if you'd like, some extra fleets if you want to piecemeal some of those things into your order some sleeves, and there's some how to play videos down here at the bottom. And this one does go on for quite a while in terms of the length of this page. So this is one thing I was interested in, though. Instead of having a traditional board, it's got these circles, and you could potentially jump from circle to circle in these different systems. And there's going to be, multiple steps to the game as you do the 4X functions. This is by Eclipse Editorial. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit quicker through past all these expansions and unboxing videos, but check those out if you're really interested in. This is one, again, I'm leaning away for the same reasons I've mentioned earlier. I think it does look like an interesting game and does look like one that a lot of people are going to enjoy. Shipping's about $17 in the US, and you can see the others for if you live in other places. And then a little bit of information about the team that designed this game. So again, looking at the levels, you can do for about $35 the core set, for about $54 the core set plus the Asteroids expansion. And then if you want to jump up to $89, you can get the all-in with the miniatures and the playmat and the sleeves added on. So that's what we have with Nexum Galaxy. And this one again is by Eclipse Editorial Games. Right, moving on to Wild Ascent. Wild Ascent is a game by Lazy Squire Games, and it was out on Kickstarter a while back, and now this is the Levon Rising expansion, and also the opportunity to pick up the original game with some reworking done to it, and now through Gamefound. You can see this one has 7 days to go, and they've made over $700,000, so they're doing great. This is another miniature battle type of a game. 1 to 4 players, 75 minutes. And there was an early bird, which is passed, but you can see this is if you get this rising pledge cost, it's $369. This is a large investment type of game. This is what Alex from Board Game Co. says. Levon Rising did what no other game has ever made me do. I actually read branching story paths just to find out what happened. This game layers an amazing and branching story on top of a game system I already love, with additional mechanical tweaks that further enhance the replayability. 5+ out of 5. So he's in love with the game, really enjoying it. Here we can see we've got all these miniatures and beautiful art. I think the art on the cards and the board is just gorgeous. The boxes are gorgeous. It really drew me in because of the beauty of the game and the feedback that I was hearing from people playing it, even though when I look at the game, I'm not sure it's the kind of game that I would really be drawn to. So, but here is, if you want the core game, the Shadow of the Silver Stream expansion, Danger of the Wilds, and Levon Rising expansion, and all the stretch goals, that's the $369. The core pledge, just the base, if you want the reworked version of the original Wild Ascent, $119. If you want the Silver Stream with the core, $239. And then here's some pictures. The miniatures do look really cool, and there's a lot of stretch goals here that they're showing unlocked, the different miniatures being added through those stretch goals. Looks really incredible, but miniature games, this style of game, tends to not be the kind of game I get to the table much. So again, that's just my personal preferences. I'm sure a lot of people are going to love it. I really like this part of the page where they show you, okay, here's what you get if you're getting this this pledge. You get these 2 boxes, exactly what's in it. You get some pictures. And then if you're getting this pledge, you get these 4 boxes. You get this pledge, you got these 7 boxes. So I like that arrangement. And then you got the detailed content down here with the cost of the core game. And then, yeah, all this is very, very detailed. Then you can skip down here to go to the gameplay. I really like this on Gamefound, how they have this menu over here. So if you want to learn how to do the gameplay and see how these seekers are going on their hunt in this cooperative campaign mode, again, that's the one thing, the cooperative nature of it is the one thing that is interesting to me. The miniatures and the campaign aspect of it are the thing that's kind of holding me back, and the cost. All kinds of playthroughs and reviews, close-ups of the miniatures if you want to see that more detail. Again, just love this about Gamefound. And then if you want to look at the shipping here, if you're getting just the core game, $27 to $37. This is an expensive game with an expensive shipping. And so pretty sure I won't be backing this one, both for the cost and the gameplay being miniatures-based and campaign-based. But looks amazing. Art looks great. Wish them nothing but the best. They're killing it. And I'm sure tons of people are going to love this game. Next up, Coalitions by Phalanx Games. And I backed Successors version 4 a couple years ago and waiting on it to arrive any day. It's been delayed like just about all other Kickstarters that have been started in 2019 or 2020. Had a hard time getting them to us, but I think it should be coming sometime soon. And this is another game from them. This is one that didn't appeal to me because of the title here, Game of Backstabbing Diplomacy and Military Boldness. The diplomacy and negotiation aspect doesn't tend to draw me in, but the game looks gorgeous, and it's one of those, hey, the beautiful geography and history and maps, it just always catches my attention. Not really sure what it is, unless, like I said, maybe that connection back to my kid days as playing Risk. Now, when I looked down here and saw the cost, it's like, this actually is pretty good. I mean, these prices are very reasonable for what comes in the game, because if you look at these pledges here, the core pledge, you get the core game, you get the Ancient Regime expansion, Diplomacy Miniatures, Soldiers of Fortune expansion, the Leve en Masse expansion, and then all unlocked bonuses. And so that's, for all of those expansions, that's pretty good. And then over here for this one, 97, a pretty big jump, and it doesn't add a ton. You get the Fortress expansion and the Soldiers of Fortune expansion. So there's a little bit of extra in there in terms of expansions. I'm not sure if it's worth that jump there, nearly $40, but I haven't really broken down exactly what's in those expansions to know if it's worth it. This is one, again, I'm on the fence. It looks incredible. We've got, really great components here, and it's the negotiation part and the diplomacy, the backstabbery. That's what kind of, I don't know if I'm really interested. Then I saw this solo and cooperative. Okay, now you got my attention, because solo and cooperative means that diplomacy, that negotiation is going to be arranged in a different way that may not be such a turnoff for me personally. Now, I know some people love that aspect of games, but for me, that's not something that I'm really looking for. So now I'm really interested again, and this is really cool. We've got this wheel of actions, and so this one is when this wheel turns, you know, this person's going to take this action, everyone else is going to take their corresponding actions, so people be taking different actions on the turn. It's kind of like that in that Daimyo Senso, how everyone has the same actions, but they're taking them at different times in the game, different orders. So that really intrigues me. So there's a lot of interesting things in this game: taxation, command, mobilization, influence, movement battles. You can try it on Tabletop Simulator and read the rule book. There's quite a few games here. We've got game in a nutshell. We've got man versus meeple. We've got the cardboard rhino's got overview down here that was good. This is the first one I watched. So yeah, I'm on the fence with this one. And here you can see, if you want to know what's in that extra, you can see what this Soldiers of Fortune is going to add to the game. But the miniatures look really cool. The maps look cool. The expansions, getting quite a few expansions right in the core game is enticing. So still on the fence. Not quite sure if I'll come after this one or not. And so here, just again, the neoprene mat, also that eco leather, I guess, really looks cool. Yeah, the shipping, not too bad. If you're getting one game, it's 12 pounds. And then the deluxe is about 18. So it's somewhere between 20 and 25 US dollars for shipping. Not terrible, especially these days. And then you got some, here's the cardboard rhino video I was talking about, and some other videos if you're interested. So definitely one I'm on the fence about, definitely one I'm interested in. Check this one out by Phalanx Games, Coalitions. Next one up, First Ascent. This is a rock climbing themed strategy game for 2 to 5 players. This one's really interesting, just the theme of it. Now, I'm not a climber, but Kate Oddie has developed, I think, a really cool game. It doesn't have the theme of parks, but somehow as I'm reading through it and listening to her video, there's something about just the type of game, maybe the aesthetic, I'm not sure, that reminds me of parks, even though the theme is entirely different. But your engine building, resource management, building routes, getting set matches. It's got a modular board. Like I said, I'm not a climber, but I think it would be interesting. I have done a little bit of climbing, but very little. And so I don't know too much about it. I know just enough to maybe be dangerous. But this one looks really cool. And I'm very interested. I love the modularity. I love the art. And the theme is different. There aren't that many climbing games. There's a few. And so, I'm interested in this. Two-sided board game. Game board, sorry. Different tiles and cards here that come with the game. And you got shared objectives, personal objectives. Yeah, just it looks really good. They got some nice stretch goals here. And I watched this video by Before You Play. Really good stuff. I haven't had the chance to watch this one by Ryan and Bethany. I'll have to check that one out. I did watch this replayability review as well. Looks really good. Shipping is very reasonable, $10 for if you're buying a single game. So definitely on the fence on this one, very strongly considering it. I like the levels here. The belayer is $1 more just to get involved and get access to the pledge manager. You can go to the gearhead here for retailer. And then here is where we're looking at print and play. And then the base game, $49. And then if you want to get 2 copies, you can get a little bit of a discount. And then these are some other pledges, but that one's all gone. So yeah, looks interesting for $49 and then $10 shipping. Definitely interested in this one. Haven't decided yet, but have almost 2 weeks to make that decision. So First Ascent looking good. Forest of Pangaia, or Pangaia, I think actually, maybe. I forget. I listened to the video and I forget how they pronounced it. But this one's really killing it too. 10 times what their goal was. Funded in 5 hours. Looks gorgeous. Before the dawn of time, Gaia, the primal goddess of the world, created the first trees. They slowly spread over the continent of Pangaia and cherished her with timeless rituals. Since then, an abundant force has been flowing through their roots, bringing life to the highest depths, heights and depths, deepest depths. So it looks gorgeous. It has kind of a photosynthesis vibe to me as I've read through some of this. 2 to 4 players, 60 minutes. I like that time length is good. I love the fact that you start with seeds and you build up these trees. That's kind of one of the things that reminded me of photosynthesis. And then the bigger the tree gets, then you can start spreading trees to other parts of the board. We've got these hex style boards, and the board is going to be modular and growing. The player with the most life energy at the end wins. You've got 3 phases in your turns. You're looking at your seeds. You're checking out the spirits that are on the map. And then you're seeing how you might spend those resources to expand and grow your forest. So it looks really beautiful. I love the wooden featured pieces. You can check out the rule book here if you want, but man, the art is just gorgeous and the components look incredible. Very lovely game. And you can see here the different rewards. We've got the supporter at $6, standard edition, $60 for the base game. And this is incredible to me. For just $7 more, you can get the premium edition with all the extra wooden tokens. So definitely a reasonably priced game for as beautiful it is and the high quality components. Definitely one I'm still on the fence on, very interested in. This has got some nice stretch goals. You can see different tile and boards and custom seeds. And this one caught my attention as well. It's 2 to 4 player, but they got this solo mode, and this is interesting. Last week they had this solo mode game jam, and in their updates 4 and 5, and update 4 they explained they challenged players, designers to get online, play it online, and come up with proposals for solo mode. So that was really cool, the way they involved the community in that. And then you can see some other upgrades that have all been achieved and some that are on the horizon. Funded very quickly. They've got some social goals, good reviews, looks beautiful, very interested. And let me find the shipping down here again. So European zone in the US here where I'm located, $18. So not too bad. So again, the levels, 5 just to support, well, €5, so about $6 to just support, and then about 59 if you want to get the standard, and then about 66 if you want to get the premium. So I don't see any reason not to just go for the premium if you're interested, and then add on that 18 shipping. So Forests of Pangaia, beautiful looking game. 14 days to go. Definitely keep my eye on this one. The only thing holding me back on this one and First Ascent, honestly, are just the games coming in July that I know I'm going to have maybe even harder time to saying no to. And my funds are not limited, or not unlimited. So yeah, that's where I'm at. All right, 2 more. The Millennium War, a MOBA game, MOBA style board game with duo modalities. So you're engaging in this epic battle. It reminds me a lot of the Deliverance game in a lot of ways. You got these miniatures, you're battling for claiming the Millennial Gate. The art of it even looks a bit like Deliverance. You've got, this is interesting, you've got competitive mode on one side of the board, and then you've got cooperative mode on the other side of the board. 1 to 4 players for co-op, 90-minute playtime, and then 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2, 90-minute playtime for competitive. And again, this, like I said with Deliverance, I don't really see these kinds of games being the style that draws me in with the miniatures. And even theme-wise, you can see this one back up here. It says we're doing the powers are the ones with virtues and the sinners going against each other. So lots of similar feels. This is much more mythical in not necessarily a Christian theme, whereas Deliverance was more of a Christian-based theme. But lots of overlap in terms of the way it looks, and I think even some overlap in the style of play, although this one has that competitive and cooperative option. The miniatures, that's where, you know, you're going to be looking at this game if you like miniature games. They are pretty epic, as has been said here by some of these people. And the gameplay, you can see it's a classic chess mechanic, modern MOBA concept. So we've got an interesting style of game. These smart dials are really cool that you can put, they're magnetically attached, I think, if I remember correctly, to the bottom of the miniatures to track your stats. And interchangeable parts for customization of your miniatures. So really interesting things they're doing here. In terms of the pledges, this is an interesting way they've shown it. You can get the core pledge for $110, and it shows you with this line what it includes. And then for $245, the God pledge, which is the core game plus all the miniature sets. So you can see that if you're at this 110 level, it's everything pictured here right down to there. And then if you go to that 245 level, it's everything there. And then you start adding in the hero miniature sets, the Demica minis, the Carmela minis, Hydra minis. This Hydra is incredible. And then down here it talks about the stretch goals. And then we've got some nice organizers. They look really cool. And then you have the other add-ons that you can personalize your order if you'd like. So here's some more pictures of the core game. Looks really cool. And if I were into miniature-based games, I would be more interested. It was interesting enough to draw me in. You know, I only really show you the games on these videos that I have had at least an interest enough to read it through and really consider it. A lot of them I'll read it through and I know I'm not going to buy this one, but this one I keep coming back to it and watching more videos. So when it sucks me in enough to start watching those videos and start trying to decide, is this for me? Is this the miniature game that I'm going to really love? You know, so that's where I'm at with this one. And it goes, you know, on and on through a lot of these miniatures, showing you a lot of these characters. Let me skip down past that because there's a lot of imagery here. Obviously, you can come on yourself to the website and check out all of these pictures of the different minis. You can watch the videos there of the people who have talked about how to play and what they think about it. So here's the timeline. I like this too. This is really a nice thing to add to your crowdfunding platform. And then for shipping, you can see the core pledge is going to be 27 to the continental US, 53. So pretty high because of all the miniatures and the weight, I'm sure, pretty high. So we're looking at, again, you can join the family. You can go on 110 for the core pledge, which includes a lot, or you can go all in for the God pledge, which is basically everything that possibly could come with it. So given the style of gameplay and given the cost for these pledges, it sucked me in to look at it over and over and watch a bunch of videos. But at this point, definitely holding off, and not likely that I'll back it, but yeah, still watching it. Almost 4 weeks to think about it more. And then the last one, Winterhaven Woods, and this one I did back. And this is by Joel Bodkin, a simple card game. And I backed, or I didn't actually back, I won a copy of his game Open Ocean, a previous Kickstarter, and enjoyed that game and connected with Joel through Instagram and had some chats with him through Instagram. We have some common Indiana roots. And I love the art in both Open Ocean and now Winterhaven Woods, and did back it. And this one, you've got cards that are going to be drafted. So if you like Sushi Go, Seven Wonders kind of drafting, it's got that element. You're placing some of them in your meadow and some of them in your forest, and they have different functions and different capacities depending on whether they're in your meadow or your forest. There is a solo game available for it as well, which is nice. And you've got some predators that are going to be taking animals out of the meadow or forest of the other people playing if you're playing multiplayer. And then you've got some steal cards. The steal cards, actually stealing cards from the other players, gives you some advantages, but it also gives you some penalties. So there's some interesting twists there. I really love the art. I love sort of the ecology, ecosystem, all these animals in the food chain connections that actually factor into the gameplay. And there's some interesting things about solo and two-player. Gorgeous game box. Same thing with Open Ocean. I don't know if you can see it on the little thumbnail here. I can go back. Well, you can look at it up online. So, but the Open Ocean, it's a nice little box. It's got the magnetic clasp. Really beautiful art on that game as well. And you can actually, it's $20 for the base game, $40 if you want the artist version with some prints. And then the Featherstone Edition 500 if you really want everything with big art prints to go with it. You can add on Open Ocean, which is a good game, and I'll put a link here to the video I made on the solo mode of playing Open Ocean several months ago, so I'll link that in here, but good game. And so definitely one that I backed, and they've had quite a few stretch goals unlocked. Excited to keep following along with Joel and his crew as they're celebrating the success of this Kickstarter. And up here at the top, you can see they're at almost $30,000, near about triple their goal, almost 1,000 backers with 2 weeks to go. So Winterhaven Woods is the one that I did back, and one that I'm very excited to receive in the future. So there you have it, the crowdfunding games of June 2021 that I've been following, the ones that have pulled me in enough to want to watch those review videos, watch those playthroughs, getting enticed enough to really strongly consider, should I back these games, and checking out the Kickstarter pages and Gamefound pages over and over to try to decide. Only backing Winterhaven Woods so far, but a couple I'm on the fence on, and probably would have backed a couple more, except there's some great ones coming in July. If you want to know about that, maybe click on that bell icon down below so you'll get a notification, because in the next day or two, I'm putting out my most anticipated crowdfunding games coming in July. And you can see why I'm holding off on a couple of these, because of my enthusiasm for a couple on the horizon. If this video was helpful for you or you enjoyed it, it'd be terrific if you'd click on that thumbs up down below, give me that like, and I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel and follow along with what we're doing on the Billy Indiana channel. Leave some comments down below. Did you back any of these crowdfunding projects? Are there any that you are on the fence as well? Are there some that I didn't mention that you want to mention? Maybe I have missed some, because while I've only talked about the ones I've dug in the deepest, I may have missed some. So let me know in those comments down below. Love to hear from you. As always, thanks for watching. This is Bill Indiana, signing off.
Oh.